Hello, and welcome to another episode of Let's Drone Out. Tonight we are joined by the Christmassy as always, but has some Christmas competition, Andrew/Frank.
Good evening.
Everyone's favourite curry kitten. Can we have a disclaimer, please,
Hello.
buddy?
Yeah, I can only read the auto cue now. Frank puts it up. Any views expressed by any guests on this show are personal and may not reflect the views of others. And we've got a full house tonight, so you better watch out for just general slander and stuff.
Yep. Everyone's, my favourite little vegan sausage, My Little Tony.
Bonjour.
Which is incredible because
No.
we're going to use your French skills to introduce our guest because he's French as well.
I'm going again. I'm going. Quick, where's the stop?
NJ said, "Oh, what's your name, buddy?" And he made just a French noise that sounded like Florent or hello. And apparently we can get away with calling you Flo. Hello, Flo. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
I've noticed you've got a couple of. Are they DLGs at the back, or are they just gliders on your back wall?
Yeah, it is DLGs. This one is in energy. It's a F3K glider. And this one is the 1 meter version from the same manufacturer is the Strike 3 F3K.
God, they're lovely. If you're wondering what DLG stands for, it's Discus Launch Glider. And they look very carbon fiber and very lightweight and all in all very lovely. I'm looking forward to chatting to you. We're joined by the Christmassy Blue Owl, who's trying to outdo Frank because she's now
I'm trying. I'm trying hard.
And the world's largest Christmas jumper with Rick from Rick and Morty on. So, hello,
true.
how are you? Are you okay? You all settled in?
Yeah. I'm all good. How are you guys?
We were worried about you, getting sick of us and leaving us. So we brought along our secret weapon, some woman eye candy. This is the sexiest man alive, the person whose no shirt, flannel shirt can contain, Mr. NJ Tech.
What are you doing with these intros, Jack? Where is this going to end up? Don't encourage you. Guys, come on. Seriously. Hello, everyone. Hope you're very well.
I know my mum's going to be watching this one. Hey, Mum. And
Make sure she takes her pill.
And back from rehab, Andy RC. How you doing, buddy?
Good evening.
It was
Hi,
great
Andy.
chatting with you whilst getting kicked off someone's front porch and arguing with them. So, yep, it's NJ. And I'm bright until
Hi,
I
Rich.
fly. So, hello and welcome to the show. So, Blue Owl, would you like to talk about our guest and tell us a little bit about them?
Sure. I was just gonna ask, are we going to introduce our guest? But I guess nobody apart from me can pronounce his name here. So we're joined by a special guest tonight, Florent Roch. There you go.
Well done, Blue Owl.
Who is my fellow high heels freestyler. Makes me very happy
There's two of you now.
Yeah, no, apparently. So this
How
episode
high?
is my
Higher
dream
than
come
65?
true. Would you
Sorry,
like
I'm
to
interrupting.
answer?
I was just saying, is it higher than 65 or is it the same as your fly?
It's probably just the same. It's about the same. We probably even fly or used to fly the same setup.
I suppose you're both just looking at the sky all the time. But sorry, please carry on.
No. We do look at the ground sometimes, at the trees when we crash into them, or when you fly backwards, you can see a lot of interesting stuff going on behind. So no, it's not just the sky.
NJ, you're a bit of a high tilt guy, aren't you? You flew the what was it called now? Is it the Hawk? And you got crazy angle on that. Well, compared to me, I thought.
I think for a while I was 45 to 50 was kind of the highest I went, and I'm a lot flatter now. It's probably something that comes with age. I don't know
for
what.
sure.
But it's I guess it's all down to the style of flying you do. Some people get on really great with that. If you're a racer, obviously, as well. But yeah, different for different people, I guess.
We all did want to try the 65-degree challenge, but it's been so awful. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't been out flying. I've just been sheltering from the rain, basically. But I think it'd be interesting to test it. But I was meaning to ask you last time we were talking about this. Do you fly with a particularly wide-angle lens? Does that help, like a 1.66 mil or something, or is it narrower than that?
It's a bit narrower. I'm flying 1.8 millimeter lens. I think you, Kaya, do the same because we are flying the same setup. It's a Foxeer Predator V2, 3, 4, etc. And they are, and the widest lens is the 1.8. It's enough to fly high tilt, but reducing the field of view is a very bad idea for this kind of flying. Yes, mainly for backward flying, because when we are flying backwards, it's like flying forward reversed and with 110 degrees of tilt. So you need some field of view to just be able to see at least the top of the trees. And yeah, the wider the lens, the easier the flying, but also the most shaky the video is on the sticks. So it's kind of a compromise for me, at least. Because I'm always shaky at the sticks, and I want to be able to see when I mess up with the piloting.
So just to explain, you've got that much camera tilt on your quad that when your quad is backwards, the camera's looking upside down, and it looks like you're flying upside down, but it's just that. Look at oh my God, look at that!
What the hell?
So when I see that. So when I fly like this, I'm flying backwards, but I'm still flying because the thrust is always pointing to the upwards. So I'm still flying and I'm flying backwards. And when I'm flying forward, I'm like this, and it's
Wow.
exactly
It
the
goes
same.
very fast. It goes very fast, but it's
Can you
flyable.
make flow big again and then flow? Can you just hold your quad level?
Yeah,
Look at that.
only
That's crazy.
And where's the front? Because that's also confusing.
It's not really a
Yeah.
GoPro mount as so much that it's just strapped to the
Look at
back.
the-
Yeah, you might as well just tape it on there with some gaffer.
That is mad. Thank you.
It's so weird to watch videos with you guys doing your high tilt, because you look at it first instant and you're like, is this 3D? Because it looks like you're not losing height when you're flying upside down, because of course you're not flying upside down. It just looks like you are, but it's
No.
just great. Did you go from flying like regular, or did you just like, oh, that's how I want my lens at all times? Did you just start off like this?
it's just a matter of fooling the brain of people, and that's what I like. And it's exactly what I felt when I saw the Matistance videos, who got me into high tilt. The first time I saw this, maybe I'm pretty sure you all know him, and the first time I saw him, my brain just exploded, and instantly I said, okay, I have to do this. I have to understand it and to be able to do the same. And it was the start of a very long training plan.
Can we see some examples? Can we play some examples of this? Just to, it's not going to go very well on the podcast version, is it? Yeah, maybe I explained it well enough, but yeah, fair enough.
We did go through some footage.
Do the
if you want.
controls
Do you want me to
change?
share?
Do the controls change? Like when you're going forwards and backwards,
Yeah.
they must all feel strange. When you're pushing forward, it's like it must all like. When I do a higher tilt for racing, everything goes out of my.
It's pitch and yaw that basically the ratio between those start to change. So yaw actually becomes more like pitch the higher the tilt goes. So you have to reprogram your brain to fly like that.
I think I could do
Or
that.
you can cheat and use the camera tilt feature in Betaflight, but we don't like cheating. You need your brain to do it properly.
I think I'll take the cheat route when I have a go.
Do batteries not last as long? Because what I notice, even doing like a moderate 40-degree tilt, is that because I'm thinking I need to look at the ground, it's of course the quad's like this, so you need a lot more throttle just to have it going along. And my batteries like last a couple of minutes less doing that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There are two topics in one. There are battery life in a flight and battery life overall, and these two are linked, closely linked. So when I started flying high tilt, the flying time was about 1.30 minutes. It was very short.
1.3 minutes. Look at this. Here we go. Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it? It messes with your head completely.
Talk through it.
Yeah.
Someone describe what's going on.
You
I
can't.
don't know whether I know.
Well,
how.
basically, he looks like he's got all this time flying upside down, whereas he doesn't appear to be losing much height. That's why
But
it sort of kind of looks 3D almost to me.
Does, doesn't it?
But that's exactly the case. In fact, you're not falling if you're upside down. It's just, again, it's tricking your brain. You're not actually upside down. You still have enough upward thrust to keep you up in the air. And what's weird is that the muscle memory gets completely messed up. It completely changes because suddenly, if you think about it, your roll becomes a yaw. Your yaw becomes a roll, more or less. Yeah. It's not quite. I mean, Florent wouldn't explain it this way, but if you think about the general idea, that's the case. And then there are some traps. For example, if you fly and you want to avoid a tree, normally what you do is you just add throttle to go up. But in this case, adding throttle will just make it go faster. So you'll just crash into the tree faster, right? So what you have to do is actually use the pitch to control the height and use the throttle to control the speed. So you have to reprogram your brain. It's kind of hard to go back, but it's not impossible.
So 2 questions about that then. About when you're going for high tilt, do you just sort of gradually work up and work up and work up? And once you've got there and you're comfortable flying that, are you able to go back to like a moderate tilt and be able to fly it? Or are you all back to sort of screwing with your brain again because you're back to where you're not used to?
Actually, that's what I did, but it wasn't the best idea I had because I will try to explain. I think that between 40 degrees and 60 degrees, all things are mixed up and it will not bring anything to try to keep flying in that configuration. You would do better by putting your tilt right up to 65, for example, and starting trying to get the muscle memory, learning the mixes between yaw, inverse yaw and inverse roll, etc. Right at the correct angle. And I think this will guide you to a lot faster learning curve. I think you did this, Kaya. You started right up to 60 or 65, and you didn't iterate from 30 to 60, and you did it quite quickly, as I remember. And also, it's quite important to note that Kaya wanted to keep training on low tilt as well as high tilt, and she's maybe the only one I know to be able to fly both. Basically flying one and changing the battery and flying the other, the high tilt and the lower tilt at the same time. And I just don't understand how it is possible because I'm completely deprogrammed. And if you give me a low tilt quad, I am even worse than a beginner.
So once you go 65, you can never go back.
That's not true. That's not true. It depends who you ask.
It's just a matter of brain flexibility, but mine is not flexible at all.
Well, you can say that, but on the other hand, I don't really have the same kind of precision that you have. So you're a lot more technical and you do a lot more risky tricks. And I just fly around, so I can switch between the low tilt. When I say low, I actually mean something around 30 degrees. It's not low to many people, but yeah, so I can go between 30 and 65 quite easily. It takes me maybe 1 or 2 packs to get used to it, but I will never be able to be as precise.
Yeah, physically, I think we can handle both piloting skills, and we can keep them together. But I don't know what is the trigger that could lead us to go from one to another as quickly as it is needed. Because yeah, basically you have to be able from 1 second to another to switch your mind and to apply different mixing to your piloting. Physically, I don't get it. So maybe that's why I can't fly low tilt.
Just fake it till you make it. That's my way of doing it.
Another thing I think as well, if you do want to be in that camp that learns to fly the extreme end and then the normal end, it's better to have them well separated rather than to have them close, because then there's a middle ground where you're not one and you're not the other. If you, as mentioned, if you go 65 degrees as your one quad, get your brain used to flying it like that, then you can switch your brain to thinking of the quad at 25 degrees as almost like a different machine, a different thing that you're flying. And it's weird. It's kind of, I think reviewers have a little bit of this where you're constantly having to fly different quads all the time to review them, that you have to get into this mindset of just switching to a new machine and forgetting, which is a bad thing as much as it's good to be flying other stuff, because of the consistency. But yeah, it's very interesting.
How about switching between quads and wings then? Because like there's quite a few bits that you've done with the TBS Cappy 2. So just kind of like, do you have a same issue then, or do you just have like so much tilt that you're basically just a wing without wings?
No, with the KP2, my tilt is basically 0, so it's a different thing. And yeah, you got the point. It's a different thing, and I have no problem switching from one to another because it's so much different that I don't even think about using the same skills. Also, flying the KP2. When you have the habits of flying fixed wing planes, it is not a matter of technical skills. I prefer seeing it of technical challenge and navigation trip. There are very little piloting skills into flying a KP, but it's more about taking some risks with the gear, getting very far, getting very low, planning if you will get stuck with the wind, with the turbulences, anything else, and just doing some bets about what is the best compromise between getting the right shot and being able to get the wing back. So when I fly the KP, it's not technical, it's not piloting, it's a different thing, and I absolutely need the two to enjoy my FPV life the best.
So I've seen some questions about landing in the chat.
Yeah, we covered that last time, didn't we? You suggested find 2 trees, and when you're below them, just take your throttle off.
So this is my technique, but Flo has never tried it himself, and I guess he can explain.
I had to a very few times. But it's not the best way to land. Yeah, the only way to land is to get used to putting the quad in a hover and remove the Google, looking at finding the quad and putting it to the end while piloting lost.
Well, it does not work for me. With blindness, it's like, what? Where am I? I can't see anything. That's what happens when I take my goggles off.
I like Blue Owl's technique. Just turn it off and crash.
Just crash, then you don't have to land. That's my most common
You'll
thing.
be able to hear what's close to you from the scary wasp noise, and then just take the throttle off and sound the beeper and go and get it.
Yeah.
There is one other technique I found with very high camera angles, which you can use if you can get used to it. And you'll see people like a lot of the racers, like Thomas Spitmarter does this a lot, which is basically to very quickly change directions or do a very fast bank. And then obviously you're almost in what you, I can only tell you the helicopter term of this, but what we call a funnel, which is where you're doing a very sort of very shallow, high angled circuit. And that will get you slow enough to where you can then just flatten out and kill the throttle.
Yeah, I always see Thomas when he lands. He's always
because he's working at such crazy camera angles. Same thing. He'll just circle something and then just. I don't think there's a way to make the landing look very graceful. Either way. It's going to be an arrival.
So just fly as well as Thomas, and you'll be fine. And also world champion, I expect.
Yeah.
When we fly very tight space, it's the best way to land because the hover is not as precise as we would need to get the quad into the field of view. Maybe sometimes it is hidden by the trees or anything else. So this is the good way to land when you don't have the choice. But when I can avoid it, I avoid it because I'm a very lazy people, and also I want my quads to be very clean. So every time they hit the ground, I have to clean them.
But you also have some RC. You also have some RC experience, so landing line of sight is not really an issue. It's not that stressful for you. It's actually the easiest way to get your quad in one piece.
Well, we can see he's got a line of sight experience because he's got them DLGs behind him.
Yeah, it's
normally I hate line of sight flying, but DLG is the exception because it feels very interactive because you're always throwing it and you're always doing landings again. Well, I am because I can't stay up for more than a couple of minutes. I'm sure if you're any good, it's like half an hour later you come down. But yeah, I do like a DLG.
Same. They're so much fun. Everyone should have one. They're brilliant.
Do you have some?
You'd have to teach me line of sight first, then, Jay.
Honestly, they're so much fun. And to get something like an Elf is a really good starting point. That's the one I've mentioned before. It's cheap. It's a good way in. It's a decent model. And then, well, yeah, exactly. It's a seasonal DLG. And then you can, they get seriously expensive. I was at the field with a friend who managed to set his trim wrong on takeoff. He had a Blaster 4, which it's not a cheap build once you've put it together. And we had lots of good flights, and then he forgot to set the trim when he threw it, and it just threw it straight into the ground. That was a sad day, but they're amazing. I can see why people that start with DLGs get really into them, especially if you live somewhere hot where you can have fun with thermals. Then they're really
near a cliff.
I remember the old flight test days where, like, David was trying to teach Josh Bixler how to launch them, and he was so good, like, properly slings it, and it makes that cracking noise, and it's bang, and then straight up in the air. And I've always liked them. Sheldon's destroyed his. I walked past it the other day and was like, what happened to that? And it's like literally in half, like the tail boom just. There's no tail on the end of it. So,
what do you reckon about Caroline's question about trying a variable tilt on a server? Because the option's there in Betaflight, isn't it?
Fossil Stuff's already done it. They done it about 5 years ago. I think he put it. Fossil Stuff put it on a servo tilt on one of his Gravity 280s. So when he pitched forward, it went up.
Linked up
I think
6-inch.
I think that the bigger problem is the weight is one thing. It's extra weight you don't necessarily want. It usually affects the frame design, and it can be a fragile mechanism as well. So it's something that can break.
I think Fossil's done it on a spring mechanism.
I did try it about 5 years ago, and it was on a 450 quad on a KK2 board. And aside from the fact, I mean, that's a big quad anyway, but it doesn't matter. But it messed, I was just explaining on the chat, it messed my brain up because normally the way you sort of fly and the tilt you are sort of suggests your speed and how low you are and stuff. And I just lost my complete sort of visual idea of how high I was off the ground because speeding up and slowing down didn't cause anything to happen on the tilt. It was so weird. So what I had was I had, as I speeded up, I had my angle sort of changed like it was a basic mechanical gimbal, so I could always keep my same angle, and that just messed with me. If you just had a switch to say landing mode, I think that would be easier. But once you've got it on something where you're basically keeping the same but you're going different speeds, it's like, my brain didn't work.
Yeah.
Are you going to prototype the landing mode in your simulator then, Curry?
Yeah, you can just put it on a switch. as released on yesterday, I even tested it with this one. It's like 0, 70, and 35 in the middle. You can do it that way.
Yeah, you could do that with the servo as well, couldn't you, if you want? But it's the weight, and I don't think. You could just have like 60 degrees, and then when you want to land, flick a switch, and the camera just goes, "Yep, there you go," and you can. Land.
I think everyone should do this afterwards. Everyone should go into Curry Sim and try out flying at 65 degrees. But you've got to record it. You've got to record your first attempt just to see what happens.
I tried it, and it was so weird. Even in a sim,
What
it
did
was
you
weird.
think about it?
It was just like, what am I doing?
What was
But
your
as soon
first impression?
as soon as I went to the big tower and did the inverted yaws around it, it's like, this is so easy. I was just like forever just going backwards, round and round. But just flying around generally was just like, what's going on? I couldn't understand. I can see it would take a while to get used to, but I take NJ's point and Flo's about, if you're going to do it, just go like, sort of just go full tilt and try it, because it's no good just moving up and up and up. Because I'm quite comfortable like flying sort of 40-45 occasionally when I get like a nice big wide angle camera lens, but I just use it to go really, really fast. But as soon as it seems there's a point you go past, and that just my brain slightly breaks. So it's going to take a bit of retraining.
Blue Owl made a really good point actually as well, which is that it's certain things that you have to change your brain. For instance, like your panic reaction. Everyone has a panic reaction. So for most people, it's like throttle up or pull back a little bit. There's something there that's got to completely change at high tilt because obviously so much of your thrust is going that way and it's no longer going this way. So if your panic reaction is to put throttle in, you're just going to make for a far faster crash. So it's got to be more about pulling the stick back, and it's just a whole relearning. But it's fun. Everyone should give it a go, especially with simulators.
I remember that. That's a very.
It really reminds me of this meme. I don't know if any of you remember it.
Yeah, I do remember
the QR 450 or something like that, isn't it? The
QAV 250, I think.
Yeah, QAV. Yeah,
I've still got that somewhere.
I've got that, but it's snapped in half.
Yeah, from Lumineer, and you've got like the beginner GoPro, you got the intermediate, and you got the advanced, the slow tilting back, and then the GoPro completely flat. For anyone who's like under 25, this is a GoPro Hero 3 Black. GoPros used to look like this.
Also known as Jack's current GoPro.
Yeah.
In my wing, thank you very much. Yeah, and you used to like take this little cover off here and then plug in a USB micro mini, not micro, mini. Like those shitty British cars that rust to hell and back. Yep. Mini USB. And our Lord and Savior Sharpoo, who one day will return apparently. I
love that quad, the QAV 250. Like, it was brilliant. I
Even
knew
at-
I was having fun with mini quads because that was the first one I crashed into a ditch full of water, and I'd never fly near water and do anything stupid. But that was the first mini quad where I was like, I'm gonna start flying stupid now. I'm gonna start going for gaps and doing things that I would never do. So
I
it's the
liked
first
all
one.
the ESCs just underneath everything, just
Oh,
out
yeah.
of the way.
Yeah, they were cool.
Chilling
And
between
the LEDs.
carbon and conductive metal bottom plate.
Yeah, that's
Joined
the
together with nice conductive aluminium screw.
definitely get it right there.
And do you remember of that guy who lived in Australia? He was called
Juz?
Juz.
Yeah,
Juz.
Juz.
70. Yeah.
He got into FPV. He was so good at it.
He was amazing. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was great.
I'll still watch him.
He's still put
Yeah.
stuff out, and he's still one of my favourite pilots because he's just so fluid without being overly flippy floppy. And plus, there's always kangaroos in his videos, which is cool.
Yeah.
So with him, really interesting thing with him, because back on the Open Pilot forums, for anyone remember
Open
those back in the day, there was one person I used to chat to a lot because we were the only two people on there with the same frame. Was Boris before he sort of done anything with Betaflight, sorry. And the other one was Juz, because he was messing around with that with the Open, the CC3D. Juz was doing that as well. But I got into following him because he was one of the first people to take a T-Rex 500 electric helicopter, and he hung this camera under it on a little custom cage, and his footage was amazing. And I did the same thing, and mine didn't look anywhere near as good as his on my little electric helicopter. But if you look at his early videos, he's got this great stabilized footage from hanging like a cannon or something underneath the helicopter. But then when he got into FPV, everyone was like, okay, this guy's awesome. Like, he was a real he was like one of the
pioneers, wasn't he?
Yeah, awesome.
He was the best at that time. He was the best.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, he was amazing.
He still is. Still is. Don't see him so much nowadays.
Yeah, he's not quite as active on his channel anymore, but I just remember him doing racing and doing laps around his field, and it was just low and fast. And the quads were massive then as well. They were running, 4S, 4,000 milliamp packs. So they were huge things.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's weird. We've gone from that size quad down to this size quad, and now we're going back out again towards the end.
Again, MJ.
Yeah, these things come around, eh?
They come around.
Show us that, Tony. Let's have a look.
Yeah, let's have another look.
Wow.
That's the new fossil stuff, Tomahawk.
Has it been maiden yet?
Yeah, it has been maiden, but my GoPro footage didn't come out. It froze, so that was annoying.
How did the flight go in terms of your endurance? Any good?
It was 4.5 minutes on a 4S, and I've just got a 6S 2200 milliamp hour, so I'm hoping to get 10, maybe 12 minutes out of it. We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Why don't you get lithium ion?
That'll probably be the next thing I'll do, because it will go for 15, 20 minutes then.
Yeah.
But yeah. So this is prototype really. So, but it's so prototype, but it looks and flies really great already. I mean, I've only put one battery through it, but it feels really good. So, looking forward to putting the 6S on it and seeing if we can get 10 minutes out of it. But we've got to wait for that rain to go away. What
about dual blades as well, Tom? Wouldn't that be better for it?
I might go dual blades as well to get some more time out of it. The motors are only 1200 kV, so I reckon with dual blades and the 6S, I reckon that it's got so much room up here. Probably take a 3000.
Yeah.
6S. We were planning for 20 minutes, and I think we will get 20 minutes, but because it's a prototype, you just got to keep messing around, haven't you? Changing props, changing different bits on it. But yeah, so hopefully tomorrow, if my antenna turns up, because I had problems with the antenna, I went down and saw Jackie Boy, and he helped me fix a new antenna in. I literally put an antenna in it, and it popped out, and most of the antenna stayed in the DJI unit. and they don't.
So the MMCX connector, plug the antenna in,
stayed
and the
in there.
antenna's got like a little bit of a little round shield, and that's stuck in, and the antenna had popped out. So yeah, like you should have seen the look on Tony's face, because like, you know, old Void the Warranty Jack, like brand new air unit, completely apart.
So I looked over his shoulder and was like, I just spent 150 quid on that, and you've taken it apart.
Manically laughing as I desoldered the MMCX connector off, and then just soldered on a new one. So
is this because all DJI units have been programmed for self-destruct now? Version 2 is coming out. Is that the tactic?
I've
Probably.
heard.
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah, they're selling their seconds now. They're just trying to get rid of it.
Andy, got anything to say here?
Nope.
Andy secretly got several behind him, that's for sure.
I've been down this road before. Nope.
You haven't got a prepared statement or anything, no? Like,
nope.
It's been signed off by the lawyers? Oh, okay.
Nope.
So, Flo, before we kind of got distracted by the past 10 years of FPV, we were talking about DLGs, and so how did you kind of get? What was your sort of route into FPV from general kind of RC flying? Like, what else did you fly beforehand?
I started flying RC models at the age of 12. I was really passionate into mainly building them more than flying them, because I couldn't fly them where I lived. The story was we spent every year we spent 1 year building gliders, and when the weather was correct, and as we lived in the south of France, you know, in the summer there are a lot of places which are forbidden for fire risks. So we had a very short time schedule to be able to fly. So we flew 5 to 10 times a year, and the rest of the year we were building RC models with balsa, with wood glue, and all the old school techniques. And I really got keen on all of this, and I started being so passionate that as all of us spent all my money into it, and quite early there was something missing into this RC hobby. What I missed was the fact that we were flying the model for the model itself, but not for admiring the landscape, the spot where we were, and that kind of satisfaction I found it when flying full-scale gliders. But I wanted to be able to fly lower, to be closer from the obstacles to the objects, to the landscape, because when you fly at 1 to 2 kilometers height, there is nothing which changes. It's always the same view. It's always the same. It's not uninteresting, but it's different. And between full-scale gliders and RC gliders, there was a gap which was not felt, and I wanted to fill it. So the first time I flew, it wasn't FPV, but with a camera on the plane. It was a RC plane with a surveillance camera mounted on it. And I was so happy to be able to get the video back and to see it after the flight. It was incredible. And I followed the trend, and when the KK board and the tricopter from RC Explorer went on the internet, almost immediately I built one, two, three tricopters at least. With maybe Currykitten does know. We had to build the KK board with bare boards, and we had to solder the components and to dismantle helicopter gyros to get three gyros to get gyro functioning. So it was quite a mess, but it worked, and we were able to do FPV with the tricopter, with a KK board, and with only a GoPro with a shitty latency, but it was flying. And David Windestal showed us very beautiful videos of what we can achieve with such a setup, and it was amazing at that time. We didn't know that, and it was a first time. So it quickly evolved with TBS. So I had the TBS Discovery. I lost it in a lake. I found it 8 hours later with my friend doing some scuba diving to find it. I only kept the GoPro and the frame, and this was a stop for me because I didn't have any money more for this kind of activities. And the time I went back to FPV was when all the gear was mature enough to bring us some durability, some reliability. And it was with the Alien and the first Water Riot event. So I was inspired by Chad Nowak, Final Glide House, who did a beautiful. Yeah, this was the one, the KK board. And when MEMS gyros went out on the market, it was a revolution because they weren't lifting. Because on those boards, between the beginning of the flight and the end of the flight, we had to modify the trims because they hadn't any calibration. They couldn't keep it. So mainly on the yaw, we started the flight with the full trim at right, and the end of the flight was full trim at left, and it was still drifting. So it was a different adventure. Oh yes, this video. The leaf blower.
Sorry, we're just
Reminiscing.
playing David. I'm sure he won't
History
mind.
lesson.
Jack's taking any opportunity to go back through David Venderstall stuff.
I miss my friend.
What I discovered to get into FPV was one of David's videos and his build log. But at least at that point, I could actually buy KK1. I didn't have to rip things apart to build one, which is just as well.
This was amazing.
No, people don't know. You know, they've got it made nowadays, haven't they? It's so much easier nowadays.
Look at that jello, and he's not diving.
Yeah, but to be fair, that's pretty good footage.
Do you know
even
what,
back
Tony?
then?
It's saying stuff like that makes you sound old. That's the stuff we have to avoid. People don't know how good they've got it.
Remember 5 years
It's true, but
Right, I'm not going to say anything anymore.
Geriatric bus pass, mate.
Shut up.
I would love to see some new pilots pick up like an old KK or a CC3D
Any excuse
and
to get
try
the
and
old
fly it
guy
on old firmware. It would be the best thing.
That's my original
I've never said
GoPro
this
2 case
before, but
with
look
a
at the
hole
size
drilled
of
in it where I
curry.
could put my
Look
live
at the
down.
size of curries.
They're
Oh,
gonna.
That's a proper 2.5 one with the
That's
old
a big
DC
one.
750 motors.
And it was made out of wood. Perfect.
Wood from B&Q.
Better than good. It's wood. Sorry.
I remember when me and Jack were flying one day at Hidden Valley, and you do you remember you crashed your wooden copter, and then we we made a fire out of it because we were cold.
That was like the poo copter, and then when I
Yeah.
sold it, like everyone was really upset. It was I made like a test bench for what was it called? The iNav, the original like iNav 1 point whatever.
Yeah.
We were flying. That thing was amazing.
That flew for like 25 minutes. I think it flew longer than a DJI
yeah.
Phantom 2 or whatever at the time.
We used to at one point we were just hovering it next to each other and like just put the controller down somewhere, and then the we'd forgot about it. We just left it like hovering right next to us, and we're doing other stuff, and like Tony nearly walks into it, and then the beeper alarm goes off, and then me and him have both forgotten where we've put the controller. They're like, where's the transmitter? Like, I think he's in the back of the van. Tony's like ripping.
Yeah.
Like, it went on for ages. We just got
It
bored.
did.
We had enough
It
of
did.
flying it. Like,
I think that's
Sheldon-
probably. Did you crash it or did it crash? You must have crashed it, so he
I
made
think it was
firewood.
Sheldon. Like, I
Oh, yeah,
think
yeah.
it's impossible to crash. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
like, Sheldon may or may not have taken it above the low flying cloud, that foggy evening and stuff. He'd get it back, and you couldn't see out the FPV screen because it was all like fogged up and that. That poor thing, man. Some guy like bought it and like came round and he put Spectrum on it, and I was like, oh man, that's not good.
You're not my friend anymore.
Yeah.
I'm still laughing at Mr. Fruity Cake's idea of an FPV retirement home, which is somewhere where we're all going to get put in this place at some point. we can tell the youngsters and the carers about how we flew on 200 milliseconds of latency back in the day.
Yes, we're sure, yeah.
Yeah, let's get you to bed, shall we? Yeah.
I like the sound of that, MJ. Is that bad?
Yeah, sign me up.
The nurse is arguing about who's going to want to give MJ a sponge bath.
We did well. We got through almost the whole hour.
MJ.
Yeah. There's one more thing I really wanted to ask about. Flo, you just released a freestyle frame, right?
Yes.
Oh.
So I was actually. I think it's a longer story because you're a mechanical engineer, and as far as I know you, we've been building a lot of things together, and I know that everything that you do, everything you design, has all the details thought through. Really, everything is given some time to kind of readjust and find some small improvements. So I was wondering, what motivated you to design and release your own frame?
Thank you. The motivation was because when you fly high tilt, you don't have any material, any gear, any setup you can build that will tell you, okay, you can do everything you want while flying high tilt. The best frame I had was the frog, the Chinese frog, the only Chinese frame that was not a copy. And it was a frame that matched my requirements at somewhere between 70 to 80%. But there were still 20% of frustration given by the quad, the fact that it was a bottom mount battery, that we couldn't tune it because of a bottom mount battery, etc. It was a mess to tune. It was not as robust as I wanted, and also recently I switched to 6-inch to gain a lot of efficiency and trust, both at the same time, basically. And it didn't exist in 6-inch. So back in 2016, I started thinking about what would be the best freestyle frame which could be able to do high tilt, and I think about it. I thought about it with my friend Kevin. He was the guy with Onigiri. Maybe you know her. And we did a kind of market study on our own to see what would be the best setup. And the top mount battery was preferred by freestyle pilots, but it led to something inadequate regarding the center of gravity. So what I ended up with was a setup with the battery at the center of the mass, all the masses, and
can you show us the frame?
So,
I saw it before.
Yeah. So the battery is at the center of the quad, and everything is centralized at the center, so that all the inertia are reduced at the strict minimum, and unlike standard Alien type frames, for example, you don't have the latency, the inertia in the pitch axis that you are all used to. It's quite like a bottom mount frame, but not without the drawbacks of bottom mount. The center of gravity is absolutely perfectly aligned with the plane props, the props plane. Sorry, it's French. The props plane, so that there is no pendulum effect or reverse pendulum effect, and it has to be tuned like an X quad. It's also one of the most important criteria that I have was the toughness, the sturdiness of the frame, because when we crash in high tilt, we crash at full throttle in a tree. It's the most probable type of crash, and you want to be able to recover the quad with the minimum I lost the English word. A minimum of brakes. So on this frame, I had what I expected. All the center of the quad is well protected and centralized, so it is not submitted to obstacles. On a very hard crash, the battery is able to go out of the quad, so we lose 250 grams from a 80 grams quad, and all the energy that is stored in the battery does air life and lets the quad handle less energy on the rest of the impact, so that when I crash, the battery goes out. Worst case, I break a motor if it touches the obstacle the first. If we have a lot of speed, one arm breaks and protects all the center of the frame. So with this quad, I wanted to be satisfied with a kind of ratio that I had in mind. Maybe you also thought about it. When we go into a spot and we fly, we want to be able to fly as hard as possible without being forced to go back to home too quickly. So it means that you have to manage a risk to frustration ratio that will lead you to when you crash, you know how hard you crash, and you expect the quad to handle quite well the type of crash you had. And depending.
I'm laughing because I warned you that he has all the details.
That's good. It's good.
Long story short, this frame didn't exist on the market, so no frame was good enough for Florent to fly high tilt. So he just had to come up with his own one, and I find it incredible. I couldn't wait to try it.
It's brilliant.
And is this frame available to buy from anywhere then?
has donated.
We got a donation.
Thank you, Caroline.
Oh, my word.
Wow.
That's actually it's for anyone that didn't pick up on that. That's a really good point about the inertia that's carried in a quad. I mean, that's some people love the way big heavy quads fly, but the problem is you carry a lot of inertia. That energy has to go somewhere, and how it's dissipated in a crash is obviously that can be through the arm. If you lose a lot of that mass, then obviously that a lot of the inertia then changes, and that makes a lot of sense. It's very, you definitely you can tell we have an engineer here.
Thank you.
So how can we get it?
The frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is on the Drone FPV Racer website. So it's a French shop. Long story short, I built on my own the prototypes of the frame. I was very satisfied with them, and but they were quite expensive. So I contacted them to tell them, okay, I have something quite warehouse on the market. If you can, I will give you all the design if you can put it on the market and for free. And that was what they did, and so they are selling the frame for this exact frame in two versions, in an analog version, what I fly, and in a kind of digital version, which is able to carry the Vista only, not the air unit, which is a bit heavier because the Vista is quite bulky. And yeah, that was the story. So I'm quite happy because now I can get some spare parts for free from them, and the prototype that I paid maybe 500 euros for each frame. Now I have them for free, so it's a good reward.
That's good. Talking of digital, our lovely friend from Menace RC, Greg, is going to give away a digipack for the next 3 weeks running, leading up till Christmas. Curry Kitten has got a number beside him.
Yep, it is
Written
the
down here.
amount of sexual partners Tony has had in his lifetime. Anyone who's closest to the number wins.
So if you put your guesses in the chat, you could win a digipack from Greg from Menace.
Do we have a number range?
Question.
Do we have a range, perhaps, a number?
Well, Jack just made that bit up. It's like it's not.
Can we have negative numbers where women refuse to admit that's what happened and you have to subtract them?
That's probably more likely what's going to happen.
Oh, Mondo, harsh.
Oh, thanks, Mondo.
Tony, you seeing this?
Look, I like spiders. Thank you, Spider. Up a bit lower.
No, what is the number? They just got to guess a random number.
Guess a random number.
We made up a random number between 0 and 100.
Okay.
That's what we need. There we go.
Greg's going to actually send it out to you. So if you email the show.
That one. That's my favorite one.
Well done. You win.
So anyway, you weren't here last week, Andy, but here, Andy, you're Northern.
Yeah.
So I live next door to a guy called Ash.
Oh, right. Mondo's won. It's done. The winner is.
Oh, it?
Look,
someone said that earlier.
We didn't have much time to come up with a question, so we came up with a guess the number. Next week we'll have a question. Tony's going to think of one. You've got a week, Tony.
Numbskull got it first.
Yeah.
Yeah, Numbskull got it first.
Oh, I do apologise. Sorry, Mondo.
I had no idea.
Where was Numbskull's?
Yeah, it is.
Further up.
I got it first. Yeah.
Sorry, Numbskull 1. Mondo, I'm sorry. You did say naught earlier, so.
See, sorry, not sorry.
So sod you. Numbskull, if you give your details, you can PM me if you like, and I'll get Greg to send you on a digipack. Thanks for everyone for putting a low number. Cheers.
And thank you, Greg at Menace RC.
Yes, thank you very much,
Thank you,
Greg.
buddy. What a legend. Just randomly messaged us just before the show and was like, do you want to give some stuff away? So please buy some. I was wearing a Menace hat the other day. I've got it here somewhere.
I want one of those masks.
Funny's got one, right?
I got one here. Oh God, there goes my beer cans. I haven't been drinking in it.
No.
You don't need to be Hat Brothers.
I put mine over my. Look how straight on.
You look like a rapper, Tony.
It actually looks like a Christmas elf now. Those are like the ears.
Christmas wolf. I'll take that.
Jack looks like. No, I'm not gonna.
No.
Forget. Move on.
Say it.
No.
Sexual predator.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
I was just going to go with emo, Jack. I was much kinder.
Sorry, Mondo.
He is quite emo, isn't it?
Oh, mate, you're my little emo bunny.
Does Mondo, if he feels any better, does Mondo have the HD system? Because that's all it works with, the digipack. So if you don't have the HD system,
It's absolutely no good.
useless anyways.
He's
Does it
gonna
work
make
with the version
fun
2,
of it.
Andy, or just the version 1?
As is the HD system anyways, right now. Anyway, carry on.
So next week's number is how many partners NJ has had, and it will be
Right.
Between
it'll be
0 and
triple.
1,000.
Yeah. That's it. No, I reckon I reckon you spent way too long.
Anyway, we must be approaching the hour about now. Oh yeah, look, we're 6 minutes past.
All right, no worries. Thank you. You've been listening to Let's Drone Out. We've been joined by the person who keeps the show running, Andrew / Frank.
Bye.
My little vegan sausage.
Bonjour.
He's even laughing at the way you say that. That's Tony's one word and he's saying it wrong.
The French guest instantly laughs at the wrong characters.
I've been
I know.
look. It's a
I am sorry
tribute.
about
It's
him.
a tribute to Del Boy. That's all I'm saying. If you don't know who Del Boy is, then I'm not your friend.
The absolute best at judging character and picking out the criminals, Curry Kitten.
Goodbye.
I was well impressed, by the way. Round of applause, everyone.
Thank you. No one else knows what you're talking about, but thanks.
Yeah, on a Wednesday.
To catch up on our Twitch streams.
Yeah, we play crime-solving video games on Twitch. Flo, we've been joined by Flo, Ren.
Florent.
Florent. Are we
Yeah,
doing that?
exactly.
Yeah. There we
That
go.
was nearly as good as my bonjour.
And Blue Owl,
Bye.
the sexiest man alive.
Good evening.
Come on, claim it.
NJ Tech,
Take care, guys.
or as I like to call him, Sheldon Friendstealer. And
Flight controller friends.
What has this outro become?
and Andy, my little emo bunny, Andy RC.
What was that? Andy RC Europe North. What was that about? We got time for
American chip spice. He brought me it back. Apparently, it's a whole delicacy. Have you had
What?
it before?
that? What? America? What?
American chip
It's
spice.
apparently northern.
Never heard of it.
Painless had never heard of it, had he?
Yeah, look, normal for whole.
What is it? Was it salt or something?
Yeah, you put it on. It's
Like
salt,
paprika and stuff, isn't it?
tomato powder, flavouring enhancer, probably MSG, onion powder, and garlic powder.
When northern people talk about
Let's do it.
chip
Yeah,
spice,
I'm-
do they just mean salt over there?
Yeah, and I've been Brighton Till I Fly, and I must exit this show before Frank strangles me. Hopefully, we'll be doing a bonus podcast, and I've got a little treat for you guys. Catch us over on the Patreon. I'd like to thank all our Patreons and everyone who helps support the show and everyone who donates, and Zero FPV